Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. This is Sunday, imagine the 5th, the 6th. This is the 6th of November, and it's still sun shining outside, and it's actually a little nice out there in November, you know. Alhamdulillah. So we'd like to start with our first inquiry today. So we'll pass the mic to Brother Tufail, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. There's a terminology that you've used concerning our organization and some of the future ideas that we want to implement. And one of them is called the re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in the USA. And so what we'd like you to do is to elaborate on that, exactly what that means and why it's called for at this particular juncture in the Islamic movement in North America.
Inshallah. I would like to, this is from Suleiman al-Hadi. Let me see, maybe I might have a picture of Suleiman al-Hadi. That's Dar al-Islam movement. And, well, I didn't happen to bring them, I don't think. But we all remember the last poets. And that is Suleiman al-Hadi. He's one of the main actors in the Dar al-Islam movement. And so first thing I'd like to read is some of his poetry. It's called To Our Shaheeds. So it should be To Our Shuhada. O fallen sons of Dar al-Islam, O heroes yet unsung, upon the hearts of the oppressed, thine memory art hung. To those of us who dare to fight, you are a shining star, whose memory will never fade, though glimmering from afar. And when we are upon the field, our freedom to pursue, when times are hard, we find new faith in memories of you. We know that we like you must make the sacrifice supreme, and for our efforts we will achieve fulfillment of our dreams. It won't be long, Ikhwan, before we join with you in death, as one by one we fight and fall and draw our dying breath. But those behind us shall secure the weapons from our hands, and then complete the sacred task of establishing Dar al-Islam. O fallen sons of Dar al-Islam, of heroes yet unsung, upon the hearts of the Jamaat, thy memories art hung. I read this because we fall in line with the Dar al-Islam movement. Was one of our first genuine Islamic movements. In the early days, way back during Dakota State and all those people, and a lot of they were Qadian, they were Ahmadiyyas. And that's fine. In fact, some of our best books came from the Ahmadiyya movement. So Dar al-Islam was one of our first very good movements founded on Quran and Sunnah. The next was Come Let Us Change the World. You could have this Khaled Fatah Griggs, A Brief History of Islamic Party in North America, 1971 to 1991. It closes with a beautiful interview of Abdul Haq. It has a long interview of Abdul Haq. Abdul Haq took over the movement as the Amir, after Muzaffar ad-Din passed, and after after many of the people had been scattered from Trinidad to Honduras, and a few still here. It was his job to collect, try to keep the people a little focused. And so I just brought these two statements. You can see, come, let us change the world. So all of that was the way we thought in those days. And it's not official, but we have accepted the manner of our brothers that preceded us. We learned from them. We participated with them. Their publication was Al-Islam. I came in contact with it in 1975 and 76 in Leavenworth. They sent their literature and the Dar al-Islam movement, I ran around the yard with the brothers that had been in all the big cases on the East Coast. Technically, the government did me a favor by sending me from the West Coast to the Central and East Coast prisons, federal prisons, because I already knew everybody on the West Coast. So they sent me over on this side, and I was still associated with the Nation of Shirk at that time. And when I got to Leavenworth, I was in receiving even, building 53, doing fishing, inviting everybody to come on to our meeting down there. We're going to be getting out the truth. So one of the brothers says, sure, but we'd like for you to come to our meeting. So I looked at him like, your meeting, who is you? So I said, sure, I'll come to your meeting. And then we started running the yard together. And so these were the Sunnis, which we didn't have no Sunnis on the West Coast at that time. So most of the brothers was a part of the nationalist movement. You know, some of the biggest cases that you could. So this brother, Bashir, his name was, I said, man, how you become a Muslim? He said, well, so many of our people were becoming Muslims, you know, in the black nationalist movement, that we wanted to find out what Islam was all about. So I was in charge of security, and it was my job to investigate this Islam. He said, well, I investigated and I became a Muslim. So to this day, and then I asked him, you know, in that group I was in, we had lessons, and your elevation would determine what lessons they would let you get hold to, would determine how much you know and how much jargon, you know what I mean, control of knowledge. So I asked him, brother, man, what lessons, what's the big lessons? What do I need, you know, to get on up the way, you know? You remember the Sahih Muslim, the 4-volume set? He said, all you need is this book here, the Quran, and this book, this set of books, that 4-volume set. That's all? That's all you need. I said, well, that sure is, I'm down with that. And he was right. Can you imagine that I struck pay dirt right away? To the question of re-Africanization of Islamic movement in North America. The Islamic movement in North America really started its high point in the African American movement. The Islamic movement inherited the legacy of civil rights movements and all of those movements. Civil rights, black nationalists, black liberation army, all of that. In fact, many of our people went right into SNCC, Black Power movement, BLA, Black Liberation Underground, right smack dab into Islam. So we those movements have been marginalized or they're defunct. When we came in, our community, we came in at the dissipation of those groups, so we have first-hand information of all the people, what went on, how it was going. And when they broke up the Dar up in New York, around 82, at the same time we was having all of the association with Imam Jamil, the Last Poets. I showed you all the flyers about the Last Poets. They came out many times. Therefore, we inherit the job of reviving so far the best contributions to the Islamic movement in North America. So that's where re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America. Past indigenous Islamic movements inside the USA were militant, independent, strongly on the Sunnah, and liberation orientated. Our movements and organizations today must revive these characteristics. We must be visionary, guided by the ideals and principles laid out in the following ayahs, which we read all the time. Who is better in speech than one who calls men to Allah, works righteous deeds, and says, I am of those who bow in Islam, nor can goodness and evil be equal. Repel evil with that which is better. Then will be between whom and thee was hatred become, as it were, thy friend and enemy. And no one will be granted such goodness except those who exercise patience, self-restraint. None but persons of the greatest good fortune. We must be missionary, that means willing to work, to do the work necessary to achieve the vision. In fulfillment of the above, we must operate on a high level of self-discipline and courage. So that's what re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America means. It means the immigrant community, as good as they are, have came and mobilized the whole Islamic movement in North America and pulled all of its teeth. They have taken the bite and taken the revolution out of the movement. So it's our responsibility, remembering our fallen comrades, all of the people who have achieved martyrdom, who have been diverted and dissected. And when I mean diversion, there has been nothing but diversions trying to destroy the African American input. And I'll close on this issue with this. The difference between an immigrant, someone who comes to America, and one of us who's born here in America. The average African American is not super proud, except some of the dummies, are not super proud to be an American, and we know that we have not seen any of this so-called freedom and liberation and all of that. So we want to change the world. The immigrant comes here and wants to integrate into what America is. They want a good job, want a university degree, they want all those things. But not us. We know that no matter what position we are in, we are still under the gun and subject to arrest and assassination anytime a dumb police officer feels like it. That's our goal. Re-Africanization of the Islamic movement in North America. Question number 2, is anybody?
I have a question. In the process of, as you talked about, changing the world, historically it seems that there's been an obstacle that we may call the Yahud. So, and you have this concept called the Israelization of the Islamic movement in North America. Can you give us some insight on that in its context?
Yes. I think I might have showed y'all this booklet on Islamic Republic of New Africa. I have many more things. I have the pictures of the people who were involved in it. But this is some of it. This is where our Shaheeds come from. Call to rise up against oppression. This stuff sounds very good. But you know what it is? It's a diversion. From, let's say, we adopted principles also. Masjid, schools or businesses, geographical integrity. Not overseas, not going off in the woods. If you think about it, what happened to Islamic Party, immigrated to other areas. Okay, although it says how much response that they was getting over at Howard and in that area. They said they was busting at the seams. Okay, why go? They said they had the concept of whether it be a big fish in a small ocean, pond or ocean, or a little fish in a big ocean. Well, we don't look at it that way. We look at it that America is our mission. And we have to interact with Americans and the American system in order to reach our goals. In the meantime, the people who are enemies to that, they have many different ways to try to divert us. There's nothing like something that sounds real good. They knew what the Republic of New Africa had already did. And I have pictures with their representative. They went down to Mississippi. Made jewelry and everything. In fact, Chokwe Lumumba, who just passed away a couple of years ago, one of the heads of it, ran for mayor down there. Okay, we don't want any of those things. We don't want to separate, but we want to build communities where if people want to live in an Islamic environment, they can do it right inside of the city, and that being, if we're just 10% of the population, we'll have a 90% influence on the flow of things. So we want to live amongst the people, and we, like we do here, we want to practice Islam, and that practice of Islam will be the best dawah. In the meantime, there's always something to divert us. Now, if you remember a few years back, it's maybe been 10 years ago now, no, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that was a heavy period of the counter-terrorists. That was Steve Emerson. He had article after article about that policy, simple living close together. They had obsession. People, they had many right-wing organizations, including the right-wing media, that wanted to paint a picture of our simple neighborhood, like that they was focusing on here. They had the newspapers and everything, that this is a threat to the security of America. To live close together and, maybe pop in a store here and there and cut down on drug use and build up family life. Well, that's a danger threat to America. So, the ones that were spearheading this were Yahoo, Abraham Foxman them. Abraham Foxman is the top Zionist in America. Well, why should he be talking about me? A guy, Imam, out here in Southeast Washington, and why should Daniel Pipes have top-line newspaper articles about us? And militant enclaves, all kind of names they was calling. And right at that time, we became persona non grata with the dear Muslims. If you remember, just around and before that time, while we had demonstrations everywhere, jumping up and down, turning flips, and our community was packed with wonderful black outfit wearing brothers, we was on the move. Then, no more invitations. I mean, it's not that you want friends or anything, but I mean, who wants to be just, okay, we're just taking your name out of the index file and that's it. And we're not calling you. You was talking about one of our dear civil rights leaders, organizational leaders. It was last month, yeah, we was up in New York with the president of Iran. And I would stand right in front of him and do like this. He moved his head. He wouldn't even speak. No, he just wouldn't speak.
No salams.
No, definitely no salams. Forget about that. That's the sunnah and stuff like that. Let's not get carried overboard with Islam. And the brother you haven't seen, and since you're a civil rights leader and the police, I mean, they didn't technically, they have technically beaten me up a couple of times, you know what I mean? In fact, 3 times, twice in one day, right down in the 6th district and then downtown, the same. But I mean, it ain't no big deal. But you remember when we had to run in with the police on the freeway years ago?
Right. When Fatima was a little girl, little baby.
Yeah. What's her name, remember? When we went to court that morning, what's her name was there? He was sitting right in the court ready to do his Islamic duty. But he ain't been around, that was it. I guess the word came down. Anyway, people are acting like somebody writes the script, and that script would be Israelis. Everywhere you look in the world, whether it's Syria, whether it's Saudi Arabia supporting Daesh and all of this, what's happening in Iraq, that's to keep the Muslims fighting each other to make Israel safe. Do you notice the more we fight amongst each other, the more settlements the Israelis, and the Israelis invade Palestine and they lay waste and they kill thousands of people. I mean, and they can't say that they're killing them because they're shooting back. They're not shooting back. They just lay waste. This is a genocide. The Muslims here, their lectures, their khutbahs act like that their khutbahs were written in Tel Aviv. So that's why we call part of the liberation process de-Israelization of Islamic movement in North America. Our behavior should benefit Islam and Muslims first. We should stop reacting to others' expectations and demands. We must avoid integration and assimilation into the warmongering criminal system of the U.S. government. We must stand up against tyranny and injustice. Oh, you believe, stand out firmly for justice as witnesses to Allah, even as against yourselves or your parents or your kin, and whether it be against rich or poor, for Allah can best protect both. Follow not the lust of your hearts, lest you swerve, and if you distort justice or decline to do justice, verily Allah is well acquainted with all that you do. Next, stop apologizing for being a Muslim. In our current circumstances, this apologetic attitude has no place. You know the big monster. If you act scared of him, he'll just blow you away. Your best chance of any bully is to fight him. The harder you fight him, the more he says, I'm leaving that joke alone. Proof of that is the way they do us. They hit us with everything. But now we done withstood so much that we show what he thinks is oppression of us as liberation to teach the people, look, if they can throw everything at us, including the kitchen sink, and we don't have a scratch on us. Now, a lot of people believe that, oh, the masjid is empty, but the masjid is here. The property is not being used fully. So what? We still have it. We own it. Right? And we've survived several sessions of encirclement and suppression. That encirclement and suppression killed everybody else, ran them crazy, and took all their money. All the movements, you don't find anything left from them. And none of them were ever hit with, I would say, 5% of what we've been hit with over the years. You have to remember longevity. Remember, we've been dealing with this face-to-face activity as Muslims for, let's say 36 years, 1980, yeah, okay, that's what we are. And it don't do nothing to us. Each session teaches and trains us for the next session. These last sessions has been so heavily laden with fitna that we can show that fitna to the people on these CDs and everything. And it's accepted fact, reality. Remember the danger of us only knowing that fitna ourselves? That's dangerous because you're getting fitna all the time. And I told this to one of my good friends. He believed in what they call keeping your cards close to you. I said, you can't do that. Well, if they mess with me, that's what one guy said. I know he wouldn't say stuff like that. I said, you can't do that. You gotta get a big smile. But see, some people, they're high-strung. This is not their fault. That's the way they are. And so, well, you can kill me, but you're going to respect me, you know. And one of the person like that was saying, because I had said, well, the police had shot him a couple of times when I was introducing. He said, no, I was shot 5 times. So when I was on the ground, this cracker coming up, pulled his pants down and urinated in my face. So you know the way he has a memory like I was telling y'all that in 1969 when the police was putting this knot upside my head. My mother came out of the house in her night clothes, that's famous old, don't hurt my son and all that stuff, you know. I never forget that. I mean, I'm not going to be mad, but I'm not buckling to no cracker. For nothing. I don't care what they come up with. You can't do that and like, I'm not saying you can't get away with it, but we're gonna watch you go down, homeboy. You're going down for stuff like that. You done did it to too many people. Now, our friend, he had the same effect. You know, you can tell when he's saying it that he ain't, you know, well, I was shot 5 times. I can't do nothing about it then. But, so that was his attitude. Not smiles and optimism. Of course, they're optimistic, but there ain't no smiles about it. You know, and that was one statement that was, anybody can fight, but everybody can't win. We can't be too guarded about winning. You know what I mean? We got to do what fi sabilillah calls for. We're not suicidal, but we're not gonna, we've got to win the way I want to win, and I'm not doing nothing to jeopardize that win. You got to turn it over to Allah. Anyway, what is this? That's what the de-Israelization policy is, that everybody in America, all the movements, are given the line of the Israelis. It's beneficial to Israelis. And we're not going to do that. And we got the Zionists off our back. You don't hear nothing. The Zionists ain't jumping on our case now. What happened? They saw that we was using it against them. You know, I mean, remember they used to have cameraman coming in, all that. They just knew this is a Negro. He gonna have to blow it sooner or later. He gonna have to. And you know the Fox News thing, I see it on some. They keep showing it. It's still on
the YouTube.
One of them says 200 and some thousand came, right? That means over 200,000 people have seen that. Now, no matter what else they saw, that's the picture that the Muslim world have of me, right? That's exactly the one I wanted them to have. So Allah fixes that. They had me up there, even people in and around my feet, don't go up there, because those smart white folks will trick you. I said, crackers ain't gonna trick nobody. They can't out-talk no Negro. If push come to shove, I'll turn the table up, stand up and dance on the table. I can do anything I want. You know, I'm like Donald Trump today. I can say anything I want. I don't care whether you like it or not, whether you prove it or not. You know, it don't. You know, in other words, we're free to do what we want, and that's what we're doing. That's why the Zionists, everything they did, newspaper, it don't make no difference. They pulled back. We're still on the terrorists, the Steve Emerson stuff. But they done backed off.
The Abe Foxman, the ADL too.
Yeah, we don't hear nothing from 08 no more.
He retired.
He always might be running crazy, you know, and we ain't really clowned them yet like we want, you know. When we gonna one of these days we're gonna let them trap us into a certain situation and we're gonna clown them. We're gonna really colorize them. But anyway, I have one anecdote about the Israelis. It was Rabbi Kain. This is in LA, UCLA. I don't know if y'all heard about it. We having a big, all the youth out there. Oh, we have a big program at UCLA. It's a pro-Palestinian program, something like that. So, Rabbi Kain is the Jewish student's hero. So they asked him, who's the speaker going to be? They said abdul-alim Musa. He says, we're going to have trouble with that guy. So, auditorium is full, all the Yahud is there with a snarl. So we started speaking. So they're trying to act like Jews have always been the Negroes' friends. So I started in with Benjamin Hooks. I said, well, now, Rabbi, didn't Benjamin Hooks sue the legal department of the Jewish arm of the NAACP to control all the wealth of it? The Jews going to control all the wealth. I said, didn't they do that, Rabbi? He blew it. He ran up there. You a hater. You a hater running down the aisle. You a hater. So I just said the usual Negro stuff. I said, Rabbi, get control of yourself. I say, you turn around and go sit your butt down. He got quiet, turned around, and went and sat down. Then, question and answer time. This guy asked me, Ahmed Shama, the Egyptian brother, he's doing the master ceremonies. So this guy, he's an Iranian, you can tell. He says, what does A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim mean? So Ahmed Shama shunned it. He asked him again, what does A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajim mean? He didn't say that, he went on. So the guy asked him the third time. He says, I seek refuge in Allah from Shaitan, the rejected enemy. He said, that man, Imam Musa, right there, is the Shaitan. So I said, I seek refuge in Allah from people coming into this program pretending to be Muslim, but in reality, you are a Jew, aren't you? You are a Jew. And the Jews started crying. He was a Jew, but he was Iranian. It was a trick. They thought I had a crystal ball or some Geiger counter under the table telling me stuff. But I knew all the brothers in LA, you know, the Iranian, the activists. We worked together for years. I knew all the Munafiqeen, which we call, you know, Munafiqeen call, you know, Mujahideen call them. I knew all of them. They knew me. We mutual hatred. They called me, you black bubblegum nigga, they, cause I was on the other Iranian side. And you don't know nothing about no Islam. They used to really lay it on the brother, but I didn't mind. I just said, you know how you can't talk to no professional Negro and make him mad by talking about it. So it was a process of elimination. This goes on, it takes only less than 2 or 3 seconds. He's not one of the brothers. He's Iranian. His accent, how he looks, he's an Iranian. He's not one of the brothers, I know all of them. He's not one of the enemies of the brothers, because I know all of them. Process of elimination. He's a Jew. So when I do that, it actually hurt the feelings of Ahmed Shama and them, because the Jews, these white kids was crying, they were just crying, because I was just clowning them, having a good time. Well, they should have known. If you would have seen Berkeley in 89 or 90, and we're still on Yahoo, we had a program there called Triangle of Terror. This is a triangle of terror. Remember, this is a great liberation time. USA, Zionist Israel, USA, Zionist, and South Africa. Because at that time, it was the South African nuclear that was big. So that triangle of terror was the triangle of terror at that time. And the Jews came to that, and they came with that same stuff, and we just clowned them. We just made fun of them. And then they had a Negro with them. And he was asking questions. I said, brother, boy, you ought to go sit your butt down. got them, all them Jews telling you, and you know, it's making fun of it, oh, it was wonderful. So that's the way you do, you don't pay no, I don't want to change the subject, but it was a program about some black kids playing chess up in New York somewhere. And they were good. Then they came up against these upper middle class white kids, you know, and they was looking at the clothes they were wearing, the little medallions of white kids, and they got intimidated. And they lost every match except one. One of the young ones, he was a ninja guy. He looked at all of it, he had his little ninja man in his mind, and he whooped them. He whooped everybody, and they said, why did you win? He said, well, I just thought about it like this. And the other ones looked at him intimidated. The Muslims are intimidated by the Yahoo. The Muslims have Aronson or somebody in that book, what it exposed?
The terrorist factor.
Why they don't invite us? Erickson ain't had no, he don't, I can go back all the way back to the Civil Rights Movement, the Black Panthers, black people in exile, the liberation movements in Africa, the dope dealers in South America, everything in our historical period, I've either visited or my homeboy, hey man, how's business? I know something about it. They gonna bring a guy just because they've been intimidated by Yahoo. They scared of Yahoo. And Yahoo is too weak. He done had it too good here for too long. You automatically get weak. You used to using all that technology and pressure on everybody. And they have got weak. They use all that pressure. They don't have to go out and do. We've been just absorbing pressure. Now, guess what? We don't call it pressure. It ain't pressured us. They can't take nothing from us. They can't manipulate a job because we don't have no job, right? Have you noticed all the white people that stand up? It was the one about, was that Dan Rather or something? What's the name played? Robert Redford played.
Dan Rather, right. George Bush.
Yeah, George Bush. What happened since he's part of the system, they can humiliate him. Suppose we'd have said it. They can't do nothing. Of course, I don't work for none of y'all. I just sent in a report and gave an interview, and I did it for free. I'm not apologizing for that. The man's a bum. If you don't like it, too bad. They can't do nothing. They can't take our job. And when they steal our money, we assume for $10 billion. So what? We'll go back to D.C. All them fines they together, we just paid last week a $3,000 fine for what? A piece of paper up there. Okay, we know it's phony. It's okay. Okay, we just paid it. But we'll sue them when we get ready. We'll sue them out in California for $10 million. If we get our money, fine. If we don't, it don't make no difference. But we're going to publicize your behavior. And the reason Yahoo had to back up is because those fools put our flyers on their website as written. All stuff.
No editing.
No editing. Negroes, that's what they might have should have called us, Negroes. Negroes strike back. Imam Musa is trying to strike out and develop Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Well, if you just can remember, which most of the time I do, but if you can just remember the name, mention the name, right? You didn't have a program. You don't have to tell nobody nothing. Do you know that Mukhtar and them tore down the sign? This is a big sign. And we'll put it up when we get ready. They tore the sign down. The people, my friends, told me, yeah, they could work with you. He was out there last night at 1:30, they said. And they took down the sign. Because the sign is warfare. Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. Why would a Negro take down a sign that has nothing to do with him? He's the agent for them. That's why de-Israelization of the Islamic movement in North America, we've been doing it. And we've been doing it the colored way. Yeah, we're not gonna, ain't nobody can do nothing about it. Name call it, so what? Okay, now we'll go on to number 3.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
It has been a protracted and systematic removal of leadership within the Islamic movement that lacks, the term that you use is battle space awareness. This right here has really left the Muslims in general unable to combat Zionists and polytheists of our time. What can we do as believers to ensure that the leaders that have this battle space awareness get the proper amount of press to get their message out and to teach ourselves how can we learn this battle space awareness?
Okay. First of all, about the method, technically, that's exactly what we're doing now. Everything is needed. You got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Media, we gotta do it. Movies, we gotta do it. Everything else, getting the message out. The greatest thing about this thing right now is that that's what we're doing. We're getting the message out. Now, I just asked our brother from South Africa, I says, people watching that on this? Of course they are. He's the one that puts this stuff up. I guess you see ICT. You would, hey man, we done got the bug in somebody's ear. Somebody got the Holy Ghost. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll cut down on it because we said if you start coming around a little, you know. Well, no, you know, signal diplomacy. You signal, send a good signal. Battle space awareness is knowing what the battlefield is. Now, it used to be called battlefield awareness, to know the battlefield, the lay of the land. Battlefield awareness is like Napoleon, they call it coup d'etat, something like that. He could go on the battlefield and determine all the advantages and disadvantages of the battlefield almost instantaneously. That's why he was such a good maneuverer of troops and people. He can maneuver, he lowers by 11:30, the sun is moving over here, and we can stall them for 1 more hour, the sun is going to be in their eyes. So we're going to wait a little while, and we're going to move over here, and then we're going to attack, and da-da-da-da-da. It's a bright sunny day, they won't be able to see us coming. You know what I mean? I mean, they won't be able to. You know, the sun is just like when you drive with the sun in your eyes, you know, it's difficult. So what we've done, all of our policies has something that related to battle space awareness. Number 1, the battle space itself. Number 2 is getting people to accept that as the battlefield, as the battle space. We're going to fight there. So first thing we got to do is they've been oppressing us and everybody else for decades, and we know all about it. But only a few intricate people know about it. Okay, if you've been here like y'all have 20 years, you know all this stuff is repetitive. But if I go out and I tell somebody that just went to the Masjid, went to Eid and Juma, you know, from time to time, I said, man, the Jews and the Americans and the Zionists, and they do this, FBI's Homeland Security. But shoot, I told CARE and all of them in the AMC, they had a program, what was it, Confrontation of Cooperation. Which will it be? I got the news, it was all in Washington. I said, you don't have a choice whether it's confrontation or cooperation. I said, they just hit y'all at the World Trade Center. That's number one in '93. See, we came out articles in time. We're not all behind time on this stuff. We're always ahead of time, all the time, on all this stuff. We right in the curve. We're not behind time. We might be right on the curve, right in time. But we're not 6 months behind, 10 years behind. So it was clear what the policy will be. That was a signal of World Trade Center. Number one is that it will be confrontational, and this is how it's going to go. And some of the papers I showed you from who they considered terrorists and rebel rousers, they didn't have them lists. This list comes from the 80s. But it was printed right then from the 92, something like that. But it was already in vogue. This went way back. Okay, now, so we have to arrange the events, we have to arrange the battle space, we have to arrange everything. So what? So that everything that we know, we have them do in public so everybody else can see it. The dummies did it. They did it. I'm just sitting right here. Every time I come to this conclusion, this is 9 or 10 times a day, I said, the dummies actually did it. And I was telling a brother from South Africa, I said, do you watch our stuff? He said, yeah, I watched all of it. I said, well, then good. So I was telling him about South Africa. You know what he said? You're hitting everything on their head. South Africa, everything on the head. Okay. So number one is to get them to accept the battle that we want to fight. So we call it psychological guerrilla warfare. Well, you accept that? That means no shooting and killing and blowing up the Pope, brother. Do you accept that? Huh?
An air war.
Air war, yeah, that was, man, that was 14, 15 years ago. 2003. It started, the air war technically starts after when they kind of messed with us here, 2002. There's no problem. But here's what it is. We got to get them to act out the whole thing. And we want a deal. We want to meet you, you know, slap somebody in the face. We want to have a dude like Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton did. Okay. Now, we're going to use these type of pistols only. You agree? Yes. Okay. So, psychological guerrilla warfare, you accept, boss man? Yeah, nigga, we're going to run you crazy. You think you done seen some stuff. You wait till we finish it. Your black behind. But they didn't accept it. It's psychological. We're not going to kill you. Ain't nothing happen, right? I mean, we're going to try to scare you. It ain't going to work, but we're not going to kill you. This is what I picked up from us. Okay, boss man. Now it's like the shaitan in reverse, but the good shaitan. So, the good Iblis. it's not, we don't want to mix it, but you know the way the shaitan, that Iblis said with Allah, said, now since you done found me in the wrong, he's blaming everything on Allah. But this has nothing to do with it. I'm taking the white man and reversing everything, and all the roles is upside down. We're the good guy. So since you didn't accept psychological guerrilla warfare, you ain't gonna hurt nobody. All you gonna do is just steal money and mess up cars and all. That's all you're gonna do. Good. It's all material. So what? Right? It don't hurt nothing. You're not attached to it. You know the Zahid Zuluk is detached. So anyway, they accept the terms. And then they accept the timing. Because we initiate all this stuff, and when they attack, we stall till we get ready to do something about it. So we capture the time. That's what battle space awareness is the awareness of the area in which you're fighting in. So they call it battle space awareness. Who are the enemies? Where they hide? Who are your friends? You know what I mean? Who are some of the people as friends? What are the signs of a friendly person? That's right there in the ranks of the bad guys. Because remember throughout the Quran, whether it was Musa or others, there was a good believer amongst them that come running from the farthest part of the city, said, man, look at here, you better back up and head on out of here. They're just working it out. That stuff is Quranic. Therefore, that stuff happens to us. There's flows of things that come our way. It's not direct, like ain't nobody gonna sit there like their job too well, you know what I mean? They may lack truth a little, but I mean, nobody wanna starve to death. I mean, in the long run, but not in the short run. So, I've always believed that there's somebody inside and they be running interference. I mean, I have known it and I felt it for, let's say, 30 years, long time. But for 25, 26 years, I've been absolutely certain of it. I told Abdul-Malik this way back then. Because he was saying, then why don't you take this stuff to court? Why don't you, it's not the time. I must be sitting up in the court. One thing about the court is, whose battle space is that? Right? You can do anything in the court. I could have 50,000 witnesses. I swear to God, I swear to God, that's the Lord, I swear to God, that's the... And they can send you to the penitentiary or do whatever they want. It's their court. They got something somewhere that says you're wrong. And if they don't have it, they'll say it. They'll say you're wrong. They don't say the police be shooting Negroes. You've seen some of them videos, there is firing squads, like, pow, 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 pow. You know. He was bad, he felt bad. Can you imagine me confronting, not big for nowadays, but 6'7". They show my picture, this man, the FBI agent, felt threatened, and he shot him 55 times. He reloaded 3 or 4 times because he was afraid, right? They show my picture, not with a big smile like this, but with a little, maybe the sun was in your eyes and you were doing like this, show that. Here's a picture, see that nigga there? He needed to be, and the white folks and the nigga, yeah, that nigga need to be shot. I'd be scared of that nigga too, right? They just mean, man.
Remember that shooter they had over there at the Navy Yard?
Right.
Remember they was actually shooting?
Yeah.
They say when they got a hold of him, they said they shot him 38 times. They shot him so much that his eyes were bulging out of his head.
And why was that? Because he said that I hear voices. It seems like somebody, that the FBI, when I went to talk to, I told the FBI, I hear voices. I told the naval security somewhere, this, that, and other, which is 99% the truth. That he's been engineered to do that. But who's going to believe that after he's been shot 37, 38 times? Nobody. But anyway, I'm going to get back to this battle space awareness. Battle space awareness is an awareness and understanding of the battle space or theater of operations. In today's war, we are battling for the minds and hearts of humanity. We must rise to the occasion of our time and act on a heroic level. We must harness all the tools we have at our disposal, media, books, internet, movies, CDs, DVDs, to raise the banner of Islam. The Islamic Institute has chosen psychological guerrilla warfare as its strategy for combating global Zionist American hegemony. Psychological guerrilla warfare gives a small organization with limited resources and understanding, discipline, courage, and deeply rooted faith to make the best of their situation. We believe in the eventual rise of Islam, that is true, and the steady decline of Zul, Shirk, and Kufr. We must take care to unify and coordinate all the forces for good in our area of operations. In other words, dear believers, it's on us. It's on us, all the institutions. That's why we're headed for millions. Real big-time millions. I mean, we're starting off like that. Like if I go different places, people coming by, laughing and talking, they're not just here for no reason. It's simple. So, one circuit of one of our friendly places, we can leave with no less than $1 million. No problem. You feel it coming on. Remember, everything is happening right in front of all of us. Everything. And I'm keeping it that way. So it ain't gonna be no secrets. You know why? Because we ain't gonna do nothing secret, and we're gonna finish psychologically whipping. See, you know, when we was kids, our parents would take us out and hold us down and whoop us. That's the way we're gonna whoop, psychologically whoop the European. That's what we're doing. We're doing that. We will do it. We whooping the stew out of that so-and-so. I mean, think about it. Hey man, people are really paying attention, and the thing that's about it is, so we do this. All my poor friends in California, even family, they look at me like, oh man, the poor guy, you know, the white man is doing this. To them, when that happens to everybody, it finishes them. And I say, that was a big deal. 45 years ago, when I was 22 to 5 years old, that was a big deal. The federal government coming and doing this. It was a big deal. So that was the first big tussle. Said, but it didn't knock nobody out. I just said, well, I don't feel like it today. I'm taking my marbles and going home or somewhere else, right? right? And I'll come back and do it some other time when I feel like it, right? So this is a God-given gift. I'm telling you, none of the brothers hardly any of the brothers that got all them cases run off. Good God Almighty, and they would have like, some of them had millions and millions of dollars. I got friends that, I was an important figure in this, but I was not the wealthiest. Maybe in Northern California. When you put San Francisco, LA, and don't put New York in it. See, New York, when they talk about, what is old Frank Lucas?
Frank Lucas.
When you tell people he turned over $1 million a day, they think it's not possible. It's impossible not to. If you got half of the dope fiends in the United States, in New York, and you're buying pure China white, don't nobody even know. I'm estimating that the first shipment was 200 kilos. You can't count that. No. I'm not going to change the subject, but let's just look at a couple $100 each or something. It wasn't, they didn't spend $1 million on that. 1 kilo. For the street, it could stand, if the heroin is 5% of New York at that time, which is what Part 3 folks said. And you got China white, that's 100%, this is actually 96.8 pure heroin. That means, take 1 kilo. You can take 2.2 pounds, you can take 1 kilo and keep it good and make 22 something or other pounds out of it. You cut it 10 times, well actually you'll have 24, 25, you count to 1 with it if you count it, you cut it 10 times. And it's still dynamite, because you could cut it 20 times and put it out, right? So if he cut it 10 times, when the guys get it from him, they can cut it 1 more time. That's all. People don't know how to cut dope. That's why so many people get killed. They told the fool, like Mexican heroin, this is important. You can cut it 16 times, because it's 86% pure, brown Mexican heroin. You know, like brown sugar and white sugar. White sugar is pure. They don't taste as good as brown sugar. But so if you wanted to put brown heroin on the street that'll knock you out real good, you just cut it 15 or 16 times. Remember, 5 points for each 5 percentage point. If it's 86% pure, you could actually cut it 17 times, right? But you want to be nice. Cut it 15 times, you got 16 pounds for 1 pound. But now, one little dipper was called, that time maybe a couple $100. How many dippers? Each dipper for $200. That guy could take that and put a whole nother on it, make it too good, and sell each one. He could make him $500,000, $600,000, right? For that $200 investment. In fact, I would say he would make him $1,000 easy. This is a heroin user. Okay. If the whole city of New York uses heroin, let's say it's, let's just say 50,000 addicts. Let's be kind of nice about it. And they buying 80% of the heroin they're buying is yours. You can't make nothing but $1 million a day turnover. You don't even have to count what you paid for it for that price. You more in the movie what the Chinaman told him, don't you think you ought to quit while you're ahead? Chandler told him, right. Boy, I know what you've been selling that dog for back home. Good. Man, you must have money coming out of your ears. Remember, they took $252 million, this is just a movie, from his account in the Cayman Islands somewhere. Yeah, it wasn't nothing, it ain't nothing. So, that kind of wealth and destructive power unleashed on us, right, by those people is the same people that released it on the people. So I was telling brother this morning in South Africa. I said the same thing. And I told him that in the lectures he got, he actually has the ones where I told him that. Mm. So, to get back to the point. Everything that's built here, we're going to have to do it. That's just the way it is. And that's not a burden, that's a blessing. And we start from everybody else that even winked their eye wrong at the white man is either dead or they're broke. And we're not wealthy, but I mean, we have, we can eat and we've come back. We're starting this challenge not with the money they stole from us, which we put aside for, but with fresh money, as we call it. Fresh money. We're starting this war with what we've acquired since the last few months being here. Yeah. That's because of the ayats of Quran. Go forth, whether put lightly or heavily, and strive and struggle with your goods and your property in the way of Allah. So, the Zionists are in trouble. And the protection we put on ourselves, protection. Yeah, we didn't talk so much. If they kill us, everybody will want to know what we said. Our our information take care of all the past, all the way back, and it goes maybe 10 years to the in the future. Because remember, we're As-Sabiqun. What we're doing now is what everybody should do. But none of it are doing it. So for us that know is fard ayn. It's fard ayn. I mean, you have to do it. Just like your prayer and fast. We here have to do it. They don't have to do it because they're pretending. Of course they should. But they pretending that I don't know any better, I don't know my responsibilities, so I don't know, I'm just going to pray and fast, that's all I know, right? So they're going to try to slide into heaven on that, and I don't know if it's going to work. Yeah.
As far as I'm saying that if you don't do it, right, then the whole ummah is in sin.
That's right, yes.
So a As-Sabiqun is a protection.
Yes.
For the whole ummah, because if we don't do it, we all gonna be in trouble with Allah.
Yeah. Well, we won't be in, they're gonna be in trouble. Because we going forward. Hey man, we sitting right here and reading the Quran and say, go forth with whether you're young and nimble, getting stiff and old, or thick, faculty, you know. We're doing that. And we're doing it with an attitude like, yay, we don't got to do it, we get to do it. This is a pleasure.
Like hip hip hooray.
That's right. Okay, so we're incorporating. Remember, we're teaching the ones. As-Sabiqun is doing his job. The whole crew, we believe, are going to be headed this way. Why is that? Well, the Euro is going to beat them in line. He's not going to let them, you know what I mean? He already told them, I don't care. There ain't no Donald Trump. This is us. This is the big boy back here. It's not that fool talking that stuff. we've been on this forever. We done, this is us here, boy. This ain't no Don talking about build a wall, build no wall. That fool, we don't care nothing about that. If he said it's fine. But we on y'all's case. Confrontation and cooperation, y'all got to be crazy. If you don't see the signs yet, right? So far, kifaya is like jihad. If enough people go for jihad, the rest of us don't have to go. But if nobody goes, everybody's in sin. So we keep them out of Dar Hidra, they might get a chance to go to heaven. Because we go out and get killed in the way of Allah. And it won't bother us. You know what I mean? No, it won't bother us because it just like won't be but a pinch. And the dumb white folks done agree. And it's working. That we ain't gonna shoot you in your head like you need. You know, nigga, we used to string niggas up like you. In fact, in the old days, good old days, you niggas wouldn't have been around here a half hour. You know what reckless eyeballs is? If you just rolled your eyes, we'd have stringed your butt up. And we're happy with that. We know that we are very fortunate. Yes.
And in the heat of the night,
Right.
when the white man smacked Sidney Poitier,
Right.
and he smacked him back,
Right.
and he asked the guy, the police officer, he said, did you see that? He said, yeah, I saw it. He said, what you gonna do? He said, I don't know. And so then the white guy told him, he said, you know what? He said, a few years ago you did that? He said, I'd have had you shot.
Yeah.
You'd have been blown away by the police.
Yeah.
They'd have shot you, so that's just going on.
No, it's, see, beauty of growing up deep down in Dixie is at the end of the heyday of the white man, when he was a real white man. And the people don't even think that good. Even the movies. The movies, even the one we're going to see here, what's the one?
Birth of a Nation.
Birth of the Nation. Negroes in slavery was not that like that. Them niggas was bold. Negroes, when I grew up, yes, boss, yes, sir, no, sir. This way, right here, right across the street there, go across the bridge. And they did about the same thing right here in D.C. But deep down in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas, that's the deep South. See, that's different. This is the North-South type. Virginia is bad, but Virginia is not Mississippi. And everything you see here, Arkansas is next door to Mississippi. Louisiana, all them places, that's the deep South. That's the deep South. That's different. It is a privilege and honor to see it and have a little feeling for it. I must pick up because I'm starting. This is exactly what we were supposed to be avoiding, long-windedness. Okay. Maybe we could, Islamic, number 4, whatever that is. We'll speed up, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
You know, before I ask this question, I'm thinking about you kind of like a Islamic idealistic activist, you know, not just idealism. But what I want to ask you is, what is this term Islamic dialectical idealism? I can hardly pronounce it. You know what I mean? It's almost like a tongue twister. So if you could elaborate on that and give us some insight, we really would appreciate it.
Okay, this is during the revolutionary days, does anybody remember dialectical materialism?
Yeah.
Dialectical materialism. It's a 4-cycle thing. The change comes through a dialectical process mainly related to materialism. So it's called dialectical materialism. This is basically a communist analysis of how things change. Okay. So we don't believe that materialism, well, I'll just read what we have to say. Islamic idealism. Islamic dialectical idealism views change as natural, constant, historical, and evolutionary. This is saying a lot. Islamic dialectical idealism views change as natural. We know change is natural. The main constant in the universe is change. So it's natural, it's constant, it's historical, and it's evolutionary. Evolutionary means that change comes to a thing and it improves and evolves as it goes along and it develops. Real revolution emerges from and should be guided by idealism, imagination, and possibility believing. Let me go with that part. We believe revolution emerges from and should be guided by idealism. Materialism shouldn't be the guide. Materialism would suggest that if we want to change the society, we have to have a motivational force equal to the opposing force that wants to stop the change, because we have to match materialism with materialism. If they got $1 billion to stop progress, we should have $1 billion to initiate and continue, because the change is based on materialism in some way. But we believe it should be guided by idealism. Ideals, thoughts, ideas, hopes, dreams, and aspirations. Idealism is like having a picture of what you want first your life to look like. Like you can look at, what do I want to be like? And then start doing the things that will produce that type of person. You know. So you as a person will never change, but you will evolve. Like when we were younger, we wanted to control ourselves when we were younger, we might have to force ourselves to work out. You got to get up. You got to have a workout partner to call you, man, you're going to go run. Because if you do it by yourself, you might run or you might not. But if you got your workout partner, your running partner, y'all going to hit the hills and run because you motivate each other. As time goes on, you do all of that by yourself because you've evolved. The training, the discipline has trained you that those things that are good for you, you do them naturally, right? And without being influenced or motivated by anything else. So we believe that idealism should be the force. Idealism is based on ideals, vision, principles. We used to say to each other, do not let your history be your guide, but your imagination. Imagine how you want life to be. Just imagine it. And then start working toward that. For us as Muslims, Allah will guide you in the Quran, Hadith, and everything to, we call it becoming. You will become that thing that you're working, because it said up there, act heroic, right? Well, you know what a hero does. So I ain't gonna do nothing that a hero wouldn't do. You got a similar idea of what a hero. Hero's not gonna snitch on his friends. Hero's not gonna hurt little children. Heroes don't do that. Heroes stand up for the weak and oppressed, right? So If you want to be a hero, you're going to have heroic behavior. You say, I ain't doing it as a hero. You get your own mind. Everybody can do it on their own. What does a hero act like? We all know what a hero acts like. And it might be a little different for you and for me, for somebody else, but heroes do certain things. So you imagine, I want to be a hero. It's simple. So I'm going to act like a hero. Everything I do, when I come to a crossroads, well, it's going to be this way, that way, which way would the hero go? Forget about the cost. What would the hero do? Well, the hero would take that road. That's the road I'm going to take. That's what idealism is. The change will be based not on our history, not on our color, not on our race, but what we have, what is our imagination, what is our picture of a good world? Utopia. Utopia just means good place. In Greek is what it means. So what is this good place we want right here? That's what we're working toward. We believe in utopia. Yeah. It's not a fantasy. It just means good place. Not their picture of good place. Well, what is our picture of a good place? What is our picture of a good world? You see what I mean? That's what idealism punches at. And then we've changed it from dialectical materialism to Islamic dialectical idealism. That this change, development, evolution should be Islamic. And the process should be Islamic. And the picture that we have should lead us to a good place through imagination. We imagine the kind of world we want to live in. And I'm trying to stay on track here, but this stuff really works. Dreams, visions of this, that, and other, that stuff actually, all they talk about in books and TV right now is live your dreams. The only problem is they live in a limited dream. Their dream is created by them. I want to have a pretty white girl. That's my dream. A dream that they gave him. He don't have no better world. Forget about all that. He don't even worry about the climate. I don't care what, they drown all the niggas as long as I can get me a pretty pointed-nosed Euro girl. Right? Or a BMW or something like that. That's his heaven. That's his heaven. And his imagination is not going to take him any farther than that. Because he ain't thinking no far. He ain't into it. So this thing about dreams, visions, and imaginations, possibility, believing, self-determination comes from that. Basically, it means we want our ideals, our imagination, our goals to set the pace for the world that we want to live in. What do we want that world to look at? It comes from our imagination. Okay, number 5.
Imam Musa, what's the importance of the College of Islamic Movement Studies in this process that we're talking about?
We had we still have 2 offices, 8109, which is, and 8111 in Oakland. Those are 2 beautiful buildings. They're remodeled and everything. One is the Islamic Institute for Counter-Zionist American Psychological Warfare. The other is the future home of College of Islamic Movement Studies. Basically, historical study of various Islamic movements. their influences, their impact on society. Students will examine their message and their missions and learn how to translate their knowledge and experiences into a useful format for application in today's world, considering the factors of time, place, and environmental circumstances. Individuals and movements to be examined include Ikhwan al-Muslimin, that is Imam Hassan al-Banna, Jamaat Islamic, Maulana Maududi, Sokoto Khalife, Sheikh Usman ibn Fudi, Imam Khomeini, and Dr. Khalid Siddiqui, rahimahullah. In other words, we're not trying to invent the wheel. If we take, say, those groups that we study, we get 20% from here, 20% from that, or 15%. We study all the movements and find out the good things they did and how do some of their things apply to our time. And then the final 15 or 20% or whatever is our experience for today's time. You see what I mean? In other words, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. The whole process of Islamic movement, no, we study other people, the good things they did and their improvements and their innovations. So that is Islamic movement studies. Now, part of that also is strategic management under conditions of repression, in which Imam Musa will share the insights he has gained from the 35 years of survival and success of Masjid al-Islam and the As-Sabiqun movement, which have faced opposition from the likes of FBI, Homeland Security, Zionist groups, and Anti-Defamation League, Daniel Pipes, Steve Emerson, Fox News, 80% snitch rate, saboteurs, informants, infiltrators, agent provocateurs, Mossad agents, and others who have sought to isolate us from the mainstream Muslims and derail and destroy the progress of our schools, places of worship. So, we can skip the high quality physical fitness, and if there's number 6, if anyone would like to.
As-salamu alaykum. So, concerning the Department of Historical Islamic Studies, there's other institutions out there that kind of cover this type of material. Just want to make it really, what As-Sabiqun does with this particular topic, really diverse and make it much more helpful to the believers.
Okay, this is a very good question, because this is Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies. Now they have the Department of Strategic Studies. They have all type at almost every university. They have a Middle Eastern department. They have a Department of, let's call it Strategic Studies. This is the Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies. This department will focus on analysis of world events and situations affecting Muslims. Now, have we been doing that already? Just look back and see how accurate we have been. If we want to turn the heat on something. A little bit. So, what would be our analysis of world events and situations affecting Muslims? How accurate have we been on the Iran-Iraq situation? How accurate have we been on Zionist occupation? How accurate have we been? As our brother was here and we was talking about South Africa, you know, how accurate have we been? Okay, so that means that we already have been doing, we just formalizing the name. Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies, those things that are important to Islamic movement globally, and especially as we exercise our self-determination here in the United States. Forecasting based on historical trends and current environmental circumstances. This is very important because if you can see which way the wind is blowing, you can set your sails properly. If you can figure which way the water is running, like when you go over, if you go on out Highway 70 or 80, you get to a certain part, like if you're in 80 in Pennsylvania, there's a part where it's almost 3,000 feet up. And it's on 70 also. And that part, the water runs toward the Mississippi Delta and Ohio, back that way. Right? Maybe down to the Missouri. On this side, it runs toward the Chesapeake Bay. You ever notice how far you get way out there, it'll say Chesapeake Watershed. Now you're way out there in Pennsylvania, somewhere it says Chesapeake Watershed. That means all the water, maybe down there, over here in Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, that water is coming toward the Chesapeake Bay. That's what they mean by Chesapeake Watershed. It's that water, all of that water. They got some of the streams running straight into the bays along the way. But the big stuff is flowing toward that watershed. You see what I mean? So if you can tell where you are, when we get toward the Continental Divide, if you're on the Continental Divide on Highway 80, when you get in Wyoming, is it not Wyoming? It's Utah. It's exit 158, I think. It says Continental Divide. One of them says, before going this way, it says 7,000 feet up. That's the Continental Divide. Then you go another 2 stops and it's 6,900 feet. It says Continental Divide again. But that is the Continental Divide. So all the water past that is flowing toward the Gulf of Mexico or the Pacific Ocean. All the water on this side is flowing toward the Mississippi River or toward the Mississippi River. Everything is headed that way. So if you travel across the country, if you know where you're at, you know which way the water is going to flow. So if the white man is ever looking for you and you trying to get to Mississippi and you're in the part of Pennsylvania and you're out there with an axe trying to build a raft, you're going to throw it on the river that night? Well, you say, if I go up this way, about a mile, the river is going to take me back to Baltimore. That's where they're trying to catch me. But if I throw that log or whatever it is I'm floating in, well, I just get me 2 Coke bottles, right? 2 Coke bottles and pour the water out and tie them under my arms and jump in the water. I got a life, right? I can float. It's the right time of the year. I won't freeze. Don't do it next month, though, or you'll be in trouble. But you know which way to trend. The trend is going to take me away from my problem. And I don't know exactly where it's going, but I know it's going toward the Mississippi or the Missouri River. And the closest the Missouri River is going to get me to the white man is St. Louis. That's far enough away from the Baltimore white man. This is a trend. That's what we're doing. It's no brag. We have not been wrong in our analysis. Because if we can't figure out some exact thing, we figure out the trend. Well, which way is it headed? What does the science say? Yes.
So what we would really call this too, to add to it, is an Islamic think tank.
Yes, definitely.
Because all other people got think tanks.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we have one that's grounded in Islam, not what everybody else be doing?
And see, we're different than other people. They can afford to make mistakes. We can too, but we haven't been making them. Because our Department of Strategic Studies have been accurate all along, and it helps our forecasting. We tell them about the triangle of terrors just a decade ago. Saudi Arabia, they do this, they do that, America do that, the Zionists, they all work together. Now it's on all the news, right? It's on all the news, everybody knows. Okay, so we made, our Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies is different from their Department of Strategic and Studies. Their Department of Strategic Studies has told them, do not invade Iraq. It's not the right time. The wrong thing's going to happen. Do not invade Libya. If you invade Libya, you're going to unleash forces that nobody can control. You won't be able to control them. Stay your butt out of Afghanistan. It's the graveyard of empires. You're an empire boss, man. You want to dig your own grave? Go ahead. You're a big boss, man. Go on over there. He's about dead now, though.
You know, Obama made a statement the other day, I guess a parting statement since he gave me go out the door, about what keeps America in the position it is their strong military. And that's what's causing all their problems. They have a strong military, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know the timing, the proper time to do this, do that. We have the strongest, we're the most powerful, we can do whatever we want, nobody can stop it. That's what got them in trouble.
That was the downfall of every empire. The British, they had to spend all the money on the military. And remember the article we was reading the other day? How big, powerful countries lose small wars. They've lost all the small wars. They lost in Korea. They definitely lost in Vietnam. They invaded Iraq twice. The second time brought them low. They lost in Afghanistan. They haven't won. What do they want? Oh yeah, they won Grenada. In 87.
They got up 30-some years ago.
Yeah, and it was, anyway, so, Department of Strategic and Islamic Studies, forecasting based on historical trends and current environmental circumstances. Strategic planning based on what should be done to make a better world. Okay, our Department of Strategic Studies is better than everybody else. That's better. We beat them hands down. They're not right about nothing. If it was baseball, they would be batting maybe 300. If we was playing baseball, you know, we'd be batting 995. Would that be a good batting average?
Of course.
Hey, man.
And in terms of pitching, we pitching a no-hitter.
We pitch no-hitters. They better not hit nothing. They better not hit nothing. Because we playing by our rules. We got a big old bat, we hits it back to them, bam, upside the head. You better not, because we're not playing by your rules. And then you dummy, you done agreed to play by our rules. That's what he said. I agree, okay. Psychological guerrilla warfare. I'll wrap these last two up myself. Muslim cultural development replacement. We're urging you to actively cultivate and create a viable, popular Muslim counterculture. We're going to need help with the other people. Incorporating such elements as arts, as halal message music, there is a global cultural void that must be filled. Historical trends show that the cultures of the oppressed always rise in popularity and prominence. Think about black music and all the white folks from the 20s. Even before that, black music was popular. They used to have white men put black shoe polish on and white something, minstrel shows.
Blackface.
Al Jolson, Mammy. I don't know if y'all remember that as well.
Al Jolson, I wonder what persuasion he was.
He looked like a Jew, and he had a black, anyway, no, think about it, jazz. Think about language. In the 50s, everybody was named, every other person was Cool Breeze, because niggas was cool. White folks got cool in the 80s, and they ain't wouldn't turn their back on being cool since 30, 40 years later. It's cool. Right?
Cool.
Cool. They don't say cool like a nigga. That's cool, nigga. They don't say that, but they mean to say it's cool. I say it's cool. But cool is I. It's cool. Can't you say to speak English? It's cool. That's a cool. Say cool, nigga. That nigga's cool. KOL or KCC. UUL, I don't know what it is, but it's cool. Anyway, look at, remember Lady Smith, Black Mombasa.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, what's the white boy went over to South Africa? Bruce Springsteen.
Not Bruce, it was
It was Bruce Springsteen. He was singing. He made some music with them.
So did it was Art, not the other.
Garfunkel.
Yeah, it was him. It was one. It was the short one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's who it was.
Yeah. Simon and
Simon and
Garfunkel.
Garfunkel.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Right.
What
That's
what
who it was.
persuasion they are?
Last time I saw.
De-Israelization of the.
Well, no, and see, black culture is what I'm talking about. You can't avoid it in language, dress, and everything. Now, even country white folks' music got a Negro tune to it. You know what I mean? A style to it, yes it do. It ain't the old Hank Snow, them, y'all don't remember them, and all them white folks. But I'm telling you. So, you go to South Africa, all the kids know all the Negroes. I don't believe Tupac is dead. I said, maybe I don't know. They expect me to know, what about this rapper? I said, I don't know all of those niggas. I'm not impressed by them. Cool. But they know them all. I have to play like I know something about them because they like them. The Muslim kids, that's all they ask me about is our culture. Okay. The oppressed culture, they have shamans, Indians. They make millions going to Germany and doing their damn, and then they talk wisdom, native Indian wisdom, and look at the white folks. You go to a reservation, you're going to see all the smart PhD white folks sitting around there getting big wisdom from big Chief Cloud or something. He back there smoking, eating powdery buttons and stuff.
Chief Cloud 9.
And he said, here come the dumb white folks, let me go into the wisdom bag. It's innocent though, right? It's wisdom. And it is. It's good natural stuff. Okay. So, everybody else is dying out. Everything else has become vulgar. What they call it, rap, hip-hop is vulgar. It's not inspiring like it was. So the world is waiting for the next cultural innovation. The Muslim people don't know that. If they knew it, they would have all of their kids just rap, do poetry, do anything they feel like doing. Just speak what's in you. So, and wait, don't worry about it. Because in 10 years, the world gonna be right there. That's the end thing. And whether it was reggae with Bob Marley now, you know what I mean? I don't know what guy that you're gonna get out of, but it's good, very good. Yes, so, but the point is, the big, deep wisdom will come from the oppressed people. The Muslims now should make their own movies, their own music, just like they are. I'm talking about the middle class, whether they out there, dog, I don't care, just speak what's in them. Whether they scared, it don't make no difference. They would be speaking for how they're related to this time. Whether it's a little bit about immigration, and also be close to Latinos. That's the way, that's the trend. The minority Negro mantle is going fast. The favorite minority in America is going. And it's the trend. There's nothing you can do about it. In 2000, they said it was 39 million Negroes and a little over 39 million Latinos. Okay. Well, maybe it's 42 million Negroes now, going by they talk, I don't know. But it's 55 million Latinos. This is just why? Think back 25 years ago. One of the biggest things in D.C. was teen pregnancy. Babies having babies, right? What happened? How many, think those days, every little girl up and down the street had a baby or two. What's happening now? Go to the Mexican neighbor, the Latino. Don't talk about California. I talk about California because if a girl is 17, one here, maybe one in the cart, or they got them two carts there, and one little one's right here, ready to go. The Negro is finished as the favorite minority. It's that time. He's had his time. He's going off the fumes of the civil rights movement. But the next is Spanish speaking. And this fool is so stupid. So stupid that the Latinos, if you just left them alone, they're just so happy to be here. Thank you, Lord. Jesus Cristo. Gracias por America del Norte. Right? But, you know what the fool did? Talks about it. Got her picking all them grapes and all that stuff for 2 cents an hour. And you're here in our way, taking our American dream. You can't get none nigga to go out and pick nothing. When we was kids in Oakland, they would have a bus come out and for pickers to go out. I might have got on that bus one time. Then there was all Latinos then. That's in the 50s. Because in the 60s, I knew better to go out picking beans. I picked just enough money to cost $2 to go out there. After I picked that, I said, that's it for me. I ain't into that. I don't mind working, but I ain't into that. They making the Latino the scapegoat. If they'd have left them alone, they're glad to be here. They put it in their kids, no problem. But you start name calling and maybe we could just turn it all the way off.
Yeah, maybe that's what I did.
Yeah. Look at it. If they'd have left them alone, it would have been fine. But no, 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 no. The bad Latinos, the bad Mexicans. Forget about the trends. So goes California, so goes America for now. Like they used to have a saying, what's good for General Motors is good for America. Okay, they don't say that anymore. But California is now a majority state. In other words, you take all the minorities and put them together, they're more than the white folks. So goes America. So goes America. That means if you got 55 or 60 million Mexicans, Latinos, our brothers, our hermanos, and you add the Negro and the Latinos together, already adds up to about 100 million people. And all of them, with the birth control, with whatever genocide they do on the Negroes, we still have more children than the others. That's a trend. We're going by the trend, so we're saying, look, you join with the people that's headed a certain way. You gotta know when your days are getting short. The Negro's days is the headliner, the favorite minority is going fast. It's going fast. The same trend that brought us up is bringing them up. And all the stuff that's perfect. First of all, y'all are from this side. Go back 40 years ago. Do you remember any Latinos down in Tennessee and Carolina and all that? Was it any? It wasn't even done in Indianapolis, huh?
Nope.
You go see the signs now. Go down 95, 85, go to Atlanta, go anywhere. Where did they come from? Everywhere. Let's take dear California. I tell you every week. When we moved in our house in 1955, we moved 2 blocks up above the color line, East 14th. This is, where neighborhoods break up. So it was one other black family and us lived up there. Everybody else was white. By 1965, 10 years later, it was all black. 4 or 5 years ago when I went back there, there was only one black family lived on that block. It was us. So finished. Okay. The United States of America in the Treaty of Hidalgo stole California, Arizona, New Mexico. A few years before that, they had stole Texas. Right, remember the Alamo, all that. That's 1/4 of America. Latinos call it Reconquista. You've heard the saying, we didn't cross the border crossed us. In other words, we was already here. You came and took our land and drew a line way down there where you wanted it. You stole half of our country. You know they stole half of, do you know how big Mexico was before Mexico was bigger than the United States with the Louisiana Purchase. It's big. And they stole all of that from them. Now, it's coming back on him. Wherever you go out, what goes around comes around, all that stuff. Yes. Muslim cultural development. Agricultural liberation, that means some Negro's gonna have to go back to the country where he was running away from. do a little farming, he needs it. So if we have some farming and what have you, anywhere from 50 to 100 miles away from, like each masjid, especially this side, should have some property away from the city. Let's say 40 acres and a tractor instead of 4 acres and a mule. No, look what we can grow. We can have orchards, we can have all the natural stuff for people. It's all organic. Which way is the world going? Organic. Halal, we can give the Muslim. And now they put pork hormones in corn. All our corn, as far as we know, be natural, right? And it'll be organic. So the white folks and everybody will be wanting to eat our halal tomatoes. Tomatoes, if they left alone, would be naturally halal, right? But if you put a pork gene in there, right, which they're doing nowadays, right? They're putting animals. So how you gonna have a pork gene so you need a halal tomato now? They have to. That means we'll close with this. We thank Allah for this great opportunity, and As-Sabiqun, we ask Allah to help it to continue as it has in the past, to live up its name. As those who go out forward, they go out in front, and they do the job that needs to be done, not for their own sake, but for the sake of humanity. And we ask Allah that we bring good deeds on the day of judgment to help overpower our historical behavior. We can close with wal-asr, inshallah. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Wal-asr, innal insana lafi khusr, illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat wa tawassaw bil haqq wa tawassaw bis sabr. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Well,